Thurston Moore, bienvenue ici dans les archives de la discothèque de Radio France. Vous êtes entouré par presque 1 million d'objets, disques, tout support. Il y a environ 450 000 vinyles. Alors c'est un petit peu moins que votre propre collection, puisque je crois que vous possédez environ 20 033 tours. C'est exact?
I'm not quite sure how many I have. I don't think I have this many, but I'm working on it. Clandestinity. Go slow, sit-ins, wildcat strikes. I buy records first and foremost by the cover, how they look. And then secondly, I buy it for how they feel, because I like the tactile touch of a record. I like to touch the recording. Because boy, no, you're not them. Whistle blown it, blow it up again. Different records smell different. I know some record collectors who can smell the vinyl and know where it was pressed. Which country it was pressed in, yes. Social steadyism. Leave it fall in pamphlet, mimeogasm. Oh yeah, this was a big record for me, Kimono My House by Sparks.
Oui, les Sparks, oui.
Yeah. Very, very important record for me. And when this record came out in like 73 or 74, it came out. In a way, this was a kind of the record, along with Roxy Music, certainly Bowie and glam rock records, and New York Dolls. This was like a real sort of lead-in to punk rock with Sparks. And because Sparks were so inventive and creative and just like, they were not typical of like what you saw in rock and roll, such as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, or like, very big male ego, rock and roll, kind of cowboy stuff. This record is super cool record. Every song on here is amazing. Ron Mayall's lyrics are so wild. And it's just so good. Talent.
Quelle piste on devrait jouer?
Oh, now that it's Christmas time, there's a great song on here called "Thank God It's Not Christmas." We should play that one. I love it. It's like Sonic Youth, but really. And this is the most significant record in my life, is this record, buying this record in 1976. It kind of starts big time like here, but also Patti Smith Horse's record and Television Marquee Moon, and Richard Hell, the Blank Generation record. I mean, these are all really significant records in like 1976, 77 that kind of like, it creates like a new identity for the culture. To remove itself from the sort of Vietnam era rock and roll, and then like the fallout from that, where you just sort of had disco and the Carpenters, and then you had all these other bands that were just playing boogie rock, like Humble Pie, and it's just like, and so for people my age, this is sort of a definition of our existence. And this was the voice of it, and it was just such a strong voice. It was just so, and it wasn't just, it was necessary, but it was also fun. It was, and for me, it kind of, it's where I went to, because I knew that it was a calling in a way. So this record came out when after Lydia stopped doing Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, and where all of a sudden she became more involved with traditional music ideas of rock and roll, which was kind of scary because Lydia was so hardcore. Like there's nothing to do at all with like rhythm and blues or rock and roll in her music. It was just like and and screaming in the microphone. And then all of a sudden, this record came out, and it was all this like kind of long, sensuous songs, and it was a really perverse record. But this was a really exciting time in New York when this record came out. Like things were changing, Yeah, this is real sort of post-no wave kind of. Well, there's some French jazz labels that I'm very interested in. One of them is called Chandar.
Il y a un exemplaire ici.
This is Chandar. Yeah.
Voilà.
This is the obsolete record that Dashiell Hediot.
Vous connaissez donc Dashiell et Hediot.
And Chandar label, there's only a few records on Chandar, but they were all like really, really interesting avant-garde documents. And wonderful Albert Ayler record, and wonderful Sun Ra records. This Dashiell Hediot record is wild.
Dashiell et Hediot, vous ne connaissez que sa carrière musicale, mais vous savez qu'en fait, c'est un pseudonyme. Et Dashiell et Hediot est aussi un écrivain.
And it's a pseudonym for who?
Jacques-Alain Léger.
Oh, interesting. I'm curious because David Allen from Gong is on here. Mm-hmm. Certainly William Burroughs is on one track. And Gilly Smith from Gong. But it says Sam Wyatt, he's a 5-year-old who sings on Baby Song. I'm curious if Sam Wyatt, W-Y-A-T-T, has any relationship to Robert Wyatt.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Rose. Elle repose sur ses jantes, abandonnées.
Yeah, it sounds like Gong.
Deux de ses roues sont
Certainly
volées.
like that kind of.
Sa capote est déchirée. On voit le ciel à travers quand elle est usée. Chrysler.
This label is really interesting because these records are so beautiful the way they're manufactured.
Donc, on est chez Philips, prospective 21e siècle.
This whole series of the 21st century series is something that record collectors, such as myself, freak out about. These are really collectible records. Some of them are in boxes. There's like a box set of these records. Francois Bale is
Un autre compositeur contemporain.
wonderful composer. Wonderful composer. Francois Bale, I think he founded or he was the head of GRM. This research.
GRM, le groupe de recherche musicale. Oui.
And that was quite a society of young composers working in different approaches to what a composition can be, coming out of the lineage of classical music, certainly, first and foremost, but just coming out of a sort of an academic perspective of music composition. Blasé is a fabulous. It's one of the first tracks I put on my my BYG compilation that I made for Charlie, and it's this track Blasé, which is really wonderful, with the singer Gene Lee doing a recitation. That's a great track.
Vous savez ce que veut dire blasé en français?
Blasé means just bored or just like, too cool for school. And this woman, it's an African-American woman singer, Gene Lee, who's a fantastic jazz singer. She's no longer with us anymore. She died, but it was her song. It was a very feminist power song, and it was her song addressing the African-American male in front of her. And she's just like, blasé, ain't you, babe?
On l'écoute alors?
Yeah, check this out. Wait till Archie Shepp's horn comes in. It's like, it's very blues.
Beaucoup d'espace aussi.
Beautiful. It's Dave Burrell.
Au piano.
So rich.
Blase, ain't you, Daddy?
Argo is a British label, has released a series of spoken word poetry records, mostly contemporary 40s, 50s, 60s writers, and people like Robert Graves. And but again, I'm more interested in really obscure ones like Charles Bukowski. Like there's records, there's recordings by Charles Bukowski that are fantastic, and certainly Allen Ginsberg. And there's that label that was out of New York that John Giorno had called Giorno Poetry Systems.
Avec les Dial A Poems.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is an interesting record by Alice Cooper because it was released on Frank Zappa's label Straight, and this is the French edition of it, but it's interesting how it still has the original photograph, because Warner Brothers reissued this record as soon as Alice Cooper became very popular with the song I'm 18, which was a huge hit for them. And all of a sudden Alice Cooper, who were considered to be this really underground weirdo group that Frank Zappa put out, all of a sudden were a big hit with I'm 18, and they became Alice Cooper, the big, great Alice Cooper group. And this record's amazing. And Killer's great, School's Out, Muscle of Love, really good records, consistent. But this record cover is interesting because Warner Brothers censored this record cover because they did not like his thumb. Because they thought this was Alice Cooper sticking his cock out of his robe. So this is very rare. It's a rare Alice Cooper, just a rare penis cover that you have here. So you should hold on to this. This is such a cool tune. You should listen to the Sonic Youth version. Total Detroit rock and roll, 1972.
Nirvana, ça comme ça aussi.
Yeah.
What makes you want to love me? Now is it my body? Someone I might be? Something inside me?
The art of actually writing a song and something that's evocative in 2 minutes. Like, is it my body or is it somebody you think I might be? And there's something inside me. You know, it's like you have to tell me. I mean, that's a kind of a it's an Alice Cooper song. It's like it's like a garagey pop rock song. But in a way, it's like it alludes to so much other ideas. You know, it's intellectual. You know, it's not just candy.
C'était une très bonne sortie. Thurston Moore. Merci.
Oh, merci beaucoup.